Hello and welcome to A Genteel Black Hole, the home of my bookish rambles. My name's Ali, and I've been meaning to read that. The Reluctant TBR tag was created by Chloe Frizzle, and I was tagged by Kelly from Books I'm Not Reading. I'll put links to both of their channels in the description. And if you don't already follow Kelly, then I highly recommend her channel. It's a very warm and welcoming space that was, one of the first booktube channels that kind of made me feel welcome when I started my own kind of booktube journey. So I'm really glad that Kelly tagged me in this questionnaire thing. So I will do my best to answer as many of the questions as I can. There's quite a few to get through, so I won't dawdle, and I will also skip a few of the questions that I don't have good answers for. But I will explain when I get there why I don't have answers for them. But without further ado, so all of these questions start with, what is a book you want to read, but... ... Question 1, what is a book you want to read, but it was a soft DNF? That is, you didn't finish it, but you want to give it another go. And for me, I'm going to say The House of Mirth by Edith Wharton. I read Edith Wharton's The Age of Innocence a few years ago, and I really, really loved it. So I was keen to read more Edith Wharton, and I got a second-hand copy of The House of Mirth. And when I started reading it, I just wasn't in the right frame of mind for it. It's a pretty down book. It's a bit of a bummer to read, and it was just like it was bumming me out, and I had to put it down for the sake of my own mental health, I suppose. But it is also, as far as I've got so far, really good. So I am interested in reading more of it. But it's got to be at the right time. Moving on to question 2. What is a book you want to read, but you've read another book by that author and you didn't enjoy it? And for that, I've got one that's kind of... I've read 2 books by this author, one of which I loved and the other of which I hated. So that is Kazuo Ishiguro. I read The Remains of the Day a few years ago and thought it was absolutely beautiful. Just a gorgeous, really very insightful and moving book. Then, on recommendation of various people, I had a go at Never Let Me Go. I was curious to see what Ishiguro would do in a sci-fi mode, but that book did not work for me at all. It didn't convince me on a sci-fi level or on a kind of literary level either. I just found it very unsatisfying. Kind of falls between 2 stools, as it were. And I was just bitterly disappointed by it. So although I'm curious to try more Ishiguro, Never Let Me Go really kind of discouraged me from really trying anytime soon. So maybe I will, but possibly I won't. We'll see. Question 3 is, it's brand new and you don't know when you'll get around to it. And when I wrote down these questions, when I was tagged, and wrote down my answers to them, I had an answer for this, but then I got round to it, and that was The Road to Roswell by Connie Willis. I've read quite a lot of Connie Willis books already, and this is her latest one. And because I've not really been in a sci-fi mood for the last several months, I was kind of putting it off. But I found myself in a bit of a reading slump towards the end of October, and I thought I would try that out, considering that Connie Willis has been a fairly reliable author for me so far. Unfortunately, it was a DNF. So in my monthly wrap-up video, I will go into more detail about that. But I don't have any other brand new books on my TBR at the moment. So that was my I don't know when I'll get around to it. And now it's my I don't know what to do with my copy of it. Question 4 is, the cover is painfully ugly. Now, I don't know if that necessarily puts me off reading a story. It might put me off reading a particular edition of that story. And one thing that's been in my collection for about 10 years now, and I still haven't picked it up, is The Glass Key by Dashiell Hammett. And the main reason why I haven't read it, well, I suppose the main reason why I haven't read it is just I haven't been in the mood for it. But I'm also really put off by the cover because I specifically ordered a different edition from a seller on Amazon, and what arrived was not the cover that I was expecting, but was in fact a really ugly design that looked more like a sort of maybe a maths textbook that we would have used in school. It doesn't look like a novel, especially not a kind of hard-boiled crime novel. And I was kind of so annoyed by that I haven't ever read it. And in fact, I have put it on the pile of things to unhaul because I think it's about time to admit I'm not going to read that, like not that edition of it anyway. And maybe at some point I'll kind of get back into hard-boiled crime and give it another go in a different edition, or maybe just like get an ebook or something. But yeah, that one, that edition, nope, no thanks. Mm-mm. Question 5. It's a classic book that might be good for you, but you're not that interested. And I'm stumped by this question, honestly. It depends how we define good for you. If it's good for you in that you think it might be a good fit, you think you might enjoy it, then by definition, I am interested. If it's good for you in the way that flossing is good for you, if you feel like it's good for character development, whatever. I don't know. Nothing is springing to mind for that one, so I'm afraid I don't have an answer for that. But moving on, question 6 is, it's humongous and intimidating. Take that out of context if you will. I'm so sorry. I have a few potential candidates for humongous and intimidating books, but the main one that springs to mind is The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexander Dumas. Because it sounds great. It sounds like a really gripping read, but it's over 1,000 pages of like quite old prose as well, translated from French. So that sounds like hard work. but it also sounds rewarding because it sounds, yeah, like it's actually a really gripping and exciting and intense novel. And I think from what I've heard, it pays off. I've certainly heard a lot of good things about it, especially from Nicole from Noteworthy Fiction, whose channel I'd really recommend as well. She talks a lot about classics and is constantly making me add more things to my TBR. Um, and I've heard her speak with great fondness for the Count of Monte Cristo. So yeah, I am interested, but it's gonna have to be when I feel able to face a mammoth that's over 1,000 pages. Question 7 is another one that I don't have an answer for, I'm afraid, and that is you feel like you need to read it because it's hyped, but you're not excited. Um, yeah, I kind of feel like it depends on what sort of hype we're talking about here. But if it's hype for a brand new book, then I very rarely get caught up in that hype. And if it's hype for a classic, can you really consider it hype if the hype has continued unabated for hundreds of years? Um, so yeah, I don't really have a good answer for that because I am interested in trying more classics. You could say that they're kind of perennially hyped, and I am excited for reading them. And if it's hype for new books, then yeah, I'm not. Question 8 is you need to be in a specific mood to enjoy it. I think most books I have to be in a specific mood to enjoy, and I just try and follow my mood where it will lead me. But having said that, as I've mentioned several times already, I think I have kind of fallen out of love with sci-fi this year, which I haven't I haven't gone this far away from sci-fi in quite a long time, but I've only read three sci-fi books so far this year, and I didn't enjoy really any of them. And of the six books that I've DNF'd so far this year, a further three of them have been sci-fi. So I'm really struggling with sci-fi at the moment. And I have a few sci-fi books on my to-read list that I am interested in. But yeah, I feel like I have to wait until the sci-fi bug bites me again. Because right now I feel like sci-fi books are biting me. But anyway, the thing that particularly springs to mind is Hard to Be a God by the Strugatsky brothers. Again, I've read a couple of Strugatsky brothers books. I loved Roadside Picnic. I loved another one that I can't remember the name of, something about a billion years. But yeah, I'm interested in reading some more of their work. But yeah, not until I feel ready to get back into sci-fi. Ironic to be talking about not being into sci-fi whilst drinking out of a Vogon poetry mug. Question 9 is, you're on the fence about continuing the series. I have a couple of possibilities for this one, but the first thing that springs to mind is Robin Hobb's The Realm of the Elderlings. It's split up into like multiple trilogies, so I've read the first trilogy, the Farseer trilogy, and I loved the first two books, and then absolutely hated the third. I have been told, I think Aaron from Aaron Read a Book or Aaron Read a Book, he has assured me that that third book in the Farseer trilogy is the worst of the Elderlings books, and it's immediately followed by the Live Ship Traders trilogy, which is apparently the best. But I have been so bitterly disappointed by the final book of the Farseer trilogy that I, as all of my excitement for that series has just dissipated, and part of me is still curious, still interested to see what Live Ship Traders is all about, but it's going to take me a while to get there, I think. The memory of just despising Assassin's Quest is still too fresh. Question 10 is, it's been on your TBR for a very long time. I have a few of these, especially ebooks. For a while, I fell into the trap of buying ebooks when they were on sale. Like, whenever I saw something that was 99p and looked like vaguely interesting, or I'd heard good things about it, I might snaffle it up, and then it sits on my TBR for years and years. And I think the oldest thing I can find from my ebook collection is The Life of Pi by Jan Martel, which was quite hyped back in the day. It was made into a film, which I also haven't seen. But it was on sale for 99p. I thought, oh, that might be interesting. I bought it in 2013, and as I record this, it is now November of 2024. So I have had that book for 11 years. Yes, I can do maths as well. 11 years, and I still haven't read it. And in fact, kind of not interested in reading it. And the tricky thing with ebooks is that you can't really unhaul them. You can't donate them or sell them. They just kind of sit in your library, and if you delete them, they just go. You're not redistributing them or passing them on to someone who might enjoy it more than you. You're just giving up your license to read it, which of course is good for big business, which is why I'm trying not to buy so many ebooks unless I am immediately going to read it. But I digress. Question 11 is, it's a genre outside your comfort zone. And again, I'm afraid nothing springs to mind for this one. I tend to kind of... Yeah, I've got nothing, sorry. Question 12 is, despite owning it, you'll likely never read it. And I think the things that spring to mind here would be, again, going back to my ebook library, I shared access to my ebook library with my mum, and so I have a lot of books in my collection that I got on her behalf and that I'm not interested in reading. But again, I can't bring myself to just delete them, even though I'm not interested in them and she's sadly no longer around to read them. So yeah, they just kind of linger in a folder marked Mum's books, and I'm not going to read them. But who knows? You know, they're there, and one day maybe I will. Maybe I will. Not going to. Question 13 is, it's only out of obligation to a book club. Amazing how she managed to type that, isn't it? Question 13 is, it's only out of obligation to a book club or a friend's recommendation. And again, I don't really have answers for that. I'm not a member of a book club, and I don't feel too much pressure from friends' recommendations because, I know that if I recommend a book to a friend, I don't necessarily expect them to read it, even though I think they might enjoy it. I hope they will. But I'm not going to be too hurt or fussed if they decide not to read it, or if they do read it and don't enjoy it. So I don't feel a lot of pressure from friends the other way either. So yeah, there's probably a lot of books that the people said, "Oh, you should definitely read this," and I've gone, "Oh yeah, I'll think about it," and then I'm not going to. But I can't remember what they are because my brain just immediately deleted the information. Sorry if you've ever recommended something to me and I've done that, because it's not a great habit. Question 14 is, negative reviews have made you less excited. Yeah, I'm afraid I don't really have a good answer for that. I also don't have a good answer for the last question, which is, it hasn't come out yet. I don't really keep up with new releases, so if it's not out yet, I likely don't know about it yet. So, yeah, afraid no answer for that either. And unfortunately, that's the last question, so this video ends on something of an anticlimax. So, those are my answers for the reluctant TBR tag. Thanks again to Kelly for tagging me. The list also invites you to tag 5 more people, but I'm not sure who's already done this tag or not. So I'm going to kind of cop out and say, if you see this and you want to take part, consider yourself tagged. And if you do make a video following this one, then please put it down in the comments of my video so that I can find it and other people watching this can also find it, preferably after they've watched this one. But, if you just want to click away and see someone else, I can't stop you. I'm not your mother. So that's about it from me today. I hope you're having a lovely day, and I will see you when I see you.